evidence that shows that West Lawn, the health problems that are in West Lawn, are specific and unique just to West Lawn and nowhere else in the city? Do you have that evidence showing that there's a cluster there that does not exist anywhere else?
We have a cluster of cancer cases. We have a cluster of rashes.
Do you have the evidence to show us? Because that would be great if you could submit that with your letter so we can review that.
Yes, we can do that. We can also add that document to it as well. And the cluster cases in all of these projects are very similar. Maybe coincident, but I don't believe that the amount of cancer cases, the amount of rashes, the amount of sickness that's coming out, respiratory diseases, and all of that is just denied.
That shows that is more than any other community in New Bedford. You have that information and that data.
That data the reason that they are here is to make sure that they get that data. And getting that data is the responsibility of the Massachusetts Health Department, the New Bedford Health Department, and ASTDR. I may have the acronym kind of screwed up, but you know what I'm addressing here. That has to be done. It can't be done unless we come here and you take a vote to go out to ask those other two agencies to assist you with this major, massive problem that we have in New Bedford. No one has, a lot of these people have gotten examination. But when they go back, their doctor will tell them, for example, people who have rashes, they will give them a medication or a cream to put on it, and then they don't diagnose it. I don't know whether that's money reason or whatever the reason they are. But unless these people and their children get diagnosed and saw by doctors who can determine what this is coming from, nothing will ever happen, and they are just too important a group of people to allow that to happen to you. You can see from the amount of people here, I don't believe that in the history of you guys being here, you have ever had this many people, mothers, families, and children, to come before you to address you because they feel that you are their health representative. If you are not, let them know that and they'll go elsewhere. But we still believe that this is the place to take these issues for them to be addressed. I don't want to talk anymore. If you're going to let Deidre speak a few minutes because I don't want to take any more time.
Deidre, why don't you come to the table and state your name and address?
Okay, if you want to bring your chair to the table, then it might be more comfortable. Deidre Remus, I live at 352 East Smith Street in West Lawn. I've lived there for 8 years. I moved in when my oldest son was 3 months old. He had severe asthma from the time we moved there. His pediatrician, Dr. Gorman, told me I couldn't send him to daycare because he was so sick that he would get worse while he was in daycare being around the other kids. I have 2 miscarriages in between. I get pregnant with my youngest child, along with my friend. She gets pregnant at the same time. My youngest child is on the autism spectrum. Her daughter has a rare metabolic condition that she's only like 100 children in the world with this condition. So I meet Eddie Johnson, and he comes around and starts telling me different things. So I'm curious. Nobody's asking these residents what's going on with them. It seems like nobody cares. Nobody's going and making the extra effort. So what do? I start knocking on doors, and I start finding. My neighbor, her daughter had cancer. All the kids are having rashes. I'm having people knock on my door showing me their kids' rashes. So they know I work in a hospital, not a doctor. I don't pretend to be. But I look at them and say, yeah, you know, you do have a rash. Bring your kid to the doctor. Kids have severe learning disabilities. They're staying back, ADD, ADHD. They're on all these different kind of medicines. The doctors can't figure out why, you know, their behavior is so awful. They go into therapy. They go into counseling, and nothing's helping. You know, my neighbor, the one that got cancer, when she was little, she told me that she started playing a sinkhole. Okay? I literally live 10 steps away from Walsh Field, where they found arsenic, PCBs, God knows else. I live 20 steps away from the city yard, where the city refused to test, and they dumped cars, PCBs, and you name it, they dumped it there, and they won't test it. We're too close. We possibly could share the same water source. Who knows? It floods there. The residents, they get funny smells in their basements. it smells like, kind of like a sewage, but somebody died in there. But you call Westlawn, the property office, and they'll come in and they'll spray deodorizer on it. Well, if it was a sewage issue, that would be a public health issue. They have to fix it. So obviously it's not sewage. What are they doing with their money that they got from the stimulus package? They're paving the sidewalks. Well, how do you cover up contamination? You pave. Somebody needs to come in and let these people know that you care. Potter Street, the same issue. Parkdale, I walked around, knocked on them doors, the same issue. If you ask, you will find out. We all live around this area of Greenwood and Ruggles. The houses are sinking. These people are having medical problems, getting cancer. I mean, we need a health study. We need it now because it's getting worse. Nobody's asking them questions. Nobody's going around acting like they care. They act like, you know, they live in a low-income development. Doesn't mean that they don't have money. Doesn't mean that they don't love their kids. Doesn't mean that they don't seek the best medical care. Because believe me, my kids go to Boston. The Children's Hospital to the best neurologist up there. And when I told him where I live and what's going on, his eyes opened like this. I said, do you think that it could be possibly my kids are contaminated with issues that are going on over there? He says, yes, and I want to know exactly what's going on. You call me once a week and tell me what's going on, because I want to know. Because both of my kids' conditions, my oldest one, he has a form of Tourette syndrome. At 3 years old, he started getting OCD and anxiety. He's on the autism spectrum. You know, nobody in the world is going to change him. But you know something? I care about him. I love him. I don't know some of my neighbors. I've never walked around that project. I've never walked Parkdale and I've never walked Potter. But I care enough. And I hope the board cares enough too to help us find some answers.
So in the next 2 days, so these kids don't have to stay here and be up and wait for you guys for 2 hours. We will get you a letter, and the date is the 15th, that we will all be back here to address this board. Is that fair enough?
In your request, what is the specific issue you'd like to discuss at the next meeting?
Absolutely.
And who will be on the agenda?
And who is that will be addressing us?
Okay.
And may I please say, can we have a interpreter, Spanish interpreter?
Spanish and Portuguese.
I don't know how we do that.
Because most people that live in housing development are Portuguese-speaking people or Spanish-speaking.
I can interpret for
Oh,
free.
okay.
I speak English and Spanish.
So why don't you, maybe your
Not
organization can see
Portuguese,
that
no,
you bring your own.
but English and
interpreter.
Spanish. I'm willing
Okay.
to do it
Why don't
for
your
free.
organization bring
All right. Folks, they're not, what we said, Deidre and I said tonight, that is all they're going to hear.
Yeah.
You have to come back on the 15th and make sure when you come back on the 15th, if you've been to a doctor, if you know the illnesses that your children have and you have, we want that documented and given to this board when we come back, because they can't help us with their health study unless they have that information.
But this isn't a public, it's not going to be a public hearing though, the 15th. So what you should do is have a preliminary meeting of your own organization, have whatever you need to say filtered into specific people that will represent each housing development, because we have a lot of other things that we have to deal with. So as we put that on the agenda, if you have one representative from each, maybe each housing development or whatever you want, however you want to split it up, so that maybe 3 or 4 people are the ones who will be heard representing the mass.
Right now, it will be 4. There will be
It's not a
someone from West Lawn, there will be someone from Central Heights, there will be someone from Potter Street, and there will be someone from Parkdale. They must decide among themselves who that spokesperson is going to be. But they will be here because you guys need to hear it, and we appreciate your time.
One last thing.